Welcome to Y News, I am Christopher. China's development has been in a rising stage and its international status has increased significantly. At this stage, China has become the second largest economy in the world after the US, and it has never stopped on this path of economic development. In terms of currency, at this stage, China's main strategic goal is to lead the RMB to the world. It is hoped that it will become the mainstream international currency. We have to admit that the US side does have quite an advantage in economic development, and the dominant currency in the international community at the moment is still the US dollar. It is also a powerful opponent for us. The president of the ADB has said that China still has a long way to go to replace the US dollar, and that the RMB can only be used as a supporting role after all. Since the gradual spread of the epidemic in the international community, it has had a more or less severe impact on the development of various countries. Even a superpower like the US is no exception. After the epidemic, the US economy has been in a downward trend. In addition, the US side has high debt barriers and once had a tendency to collapse. In the eyes of outsiders, it is a matter of time before the US side's economy avalanches. So in such a context, is it possible for the RMB to take the place of the US dollar? At a recent expo in Macau, Alibaba co-founder asked Jin Liqun about the US side's position in the international arena and whether there would be changes due to the recent financial crisis. Jin Liqun said that the status of the US dollar will be more or less subject to some changes, but it is still the reserve currency of the world, and in a short period of time, the RMB will not be able to replace the US dollar. And the role of the yuan in the international arena is more to assist the US side, not to replace the dollar. As long as the US side still exists, the US dollar's position in the international arena will not be affected much. After Jin Liqun made such a statement, he was once attacked by netizens. In the eyes of outsiders, such a statement from him is tantamount to flattering foreigners. Many people said that since the dollar's position is likely to be shaken, why can't the yuan take its place? Why can the yuan only play a supporting role forever? Isn't this a way to discourage others? On this matter, Jin Liqun followed up with his own views. The reason why the yuan is now progressing so fast is still largely due to the close partnership with the US dollar. The US side has always been worried that other countries will overtake its position and often imposes sanctions on other countries. Not long ago, the US inexplicably froze Russian funds, which made other countries deeply aware of the US side's sinister intentions, which directly accelerated the process of internationalization of the RMB. At the same time, China has also established cooperative relations with many countries, after which trade cooperation can be settled using the RMB. Once the US established its superpower status, it pegged the dollar to oil so they could become the global reserve currency. Therefore, the high status of the US dollar largely depends on the comprehensive power of the US side. As far as the specific situation of the international community at this stage is concerned, the vast majority of international trade is settled using the US dollar. And over the years, the dollar has been playing such a role, the entire financial system is quite complete. The RMB in this regard has always been a supporting role, the whole framework system is not complete. So in a short period of time, it is unlikely that the RMB will take its place. It is well known that China's foreign exchange reserves are relatively high. Why does it not have the ability to become the mainstream currency? It is true that China's foreign exchange reserves are already quite high compared to most countries, but when you look at the global community, the share it occupies is not that high. In the international community, only a small percentage of countries will use RMB as a reserve currency. So Jin Liqun's statement, although it drew many netizens' displeasure, is not unreasonable in the light of the current international situation. But indeed, the US side has been affected by the epidemic these past few years, with high debt barriers, and even once could only maintain the status quo by the old means of raising the debt ceiling. When the snowball gets bigger and bigger, one has to wonder when the snowball will actually collapse. What is clear is that the US side of the economy is indeed weakening. Perhaps to most people, this is the perfect time for the yuan to overtake the dollar. But let's think about it the other way around. While the US side has been hit by the epidemic, China has also been hit by the epidemic as well. It's just that China's economic development has been steady, so it doesn't have the same high debt barriers as the US side. But even so, in the context of China's international situation at the moment, the yuan does not yet have the ability to replace the dollar and become the dominant international currency. But the future cannot be determined now. After all, no one can give the most accurate answer as to how the world will develop in the future. We also expect that someday in the future, the RMB will truly become the mainstream international currency. At that time, China's international status will definitely rise to a new level. All in all, the current monetary system of the international community will remain as it is today. But what cannot be ignored is that the international status of the RMB has been rising over the years. It has also been playing an important role in the whole international monetary system. So in your opinion, what other capabilities does the RMB need to have in order to replace the US dollar and become the mainstream international currency?